Եվ հատուկեն շնորհակալություն հայտնեմ ARPA ինստիտուտ եւ պարոն Փանոսյանից, դոկտոր Փանոսյանից, այս ծրագրի համար եւ հրավերի համար։ So, in presentation անգլերենով was, so բան պիտի անգլերենով խոսեմ, բայց կարող եմ նաեւ հայերենով որ հարց կա բան պատասխանեմ։ So today's presentation is about, how we can mobilize the community to get involved and work with Armenian in Armenian, start businesses in Armenia. So what I'm going to do in today's presentation, I will present some key indicators, the GDP, so forth, the unemployment numbers. But then, in addition to that, I have basically worked to bring to you some actual investment plans, business things where, we will talk about the specific industry, the amount of investment needed, the possible return for the investment. I have quite a number of investment opportunities to discuss. Now I have some here as part of the PowerPoint presentation, and I have some with me. Now where do I get this information from? As Dr. Pandasyan mentioned, just recently I was elected as, there's an organization called Armenian Global Trade Network. It's a business organization that basically the member chapters are Chamber of Commerces in different countries, including Armenians and Artsakhs. And as I am the president of the global network, and as such I work with the Chamber of Commerce and Diasporan Economic Ministries in Armenia and Artsakh. So some of this information I have gathered working with them. I was up till 2:30 last night, finalizing some of the numbers, going over some of the numbers with them to make sure that the numbers make sense. And I basically had this idea as I was going with, over the numbers with them, and I was explaining the plan as to what we want to do. So the hope is, the takeaway from today's presentation is that we will provide some comfort level for folks to actually feel comfortable to think about doing business with, starting businesses in Armenia and Artsakh. And hopefully at the end of the day, we'll have a Q&A discussion about what could be the next steps for some folks that want to do those, what are the available resources, what are some helpful hints. Many have done this, many have been very successful doing this. There are a lot of non-Armenian organizations that are doing this. Both Armenia's and Artsakh's governments are taking this very, very seriously. They're doing things to protect investors. So if we get away from this general feeling that we have of one of discomfort, I guess, or fear, and start thinking about, what can we do if we form a business plan, if we start working with the organizations that have been established on the ground, I think a lot can be done. So with that, I will go over the agenda. Then, of course, feel free to ask any question about any of the items, and at the end we'll do the same. So today's agenda: why do business in Armenia and Artsakh, economic indicators, tax incentives, human factors, investment opportunities in different segments. I'm going to talk about Made in Armenia Expo that was in Armenia just last week, information technology. We're going to talk about the different centers in different cities, and in Yerevan we have with us, we're fortunate to have Amalia with us, Yevoyan from GITC and Information Technology Center, that will talk to us about GTech solutions, services in detail. We're going to talk about some agro-business, alternative energy, tourism, manufacturing, transportation. So the industries that we'll talk about, the businesses that we'll talk about vary in sizes, from small investments in fruit packing all the way to railroads and roads and so forth. And again, this would be for different type of investments, from an individual who wants to invest and wants to have very limited involvement, to someone who wants to invest and actually be involved, to big corporations. So why do business in Armenia? What we have in Armenia is highly skilled, young and cheap workforce with strong entrepreneurship spirit. As you know, every Armenian is driven. We work hard, we're very smart, and when we talk about chess and the champions in chess, if you follow the inventions, whether it's in IT or in other fields, or if you follow Stepan Partam's book, all the patents that Armenians have, we're very smart people, we're very driven, we're hardworking people, so that's what you have in Armenia. And the nice thing about it, they're hungry to work. So if you give them the opportunity to work and guide them, educate them, they will work for you. Long-standing technology-oriented economy, even going to the Soviet era. When I talk to some of my employees there, they talk about that Umri, Yerevan were centers for IT for different studies. Favorable investment, there's 10 years protection against adverse changes in legislation. Strategic location to do business with Europe, CIS, Middle East, and Asia. Strong link with foreign markets. Of course, we know about our 7 to 10 million diaspora and what could be done with that. But at the end of the day, every Armenian likes to help Armenia given the right opportunity. And I think if we work on those opportunities, we can create those opportunities and take advantage of the diaspora. And the GDP, we had a nice increase in the GDP. Why do business in Artsakh as well-trained and very inexpensive labor, tax incentives? Artsakh's government, very much like Armenia's government, has come up with very many incentives. To the degree that when you read them, you almost don't believe them. But then, they are available from, we'll go over them. No export duties, extremely low operating costs, strong foreign direct investment indexes, satisfaction. I personally have experience working with Artsakh government, and from president to prime minister, they're always willing to help. They're always willing to work with you. So, and the climate is wonderful for agriculture, and the country has made plans to basically grow their domestic and economic foreign markets, and basically they continue to do privatization. We'll talk about some of these projects and what's available for us. There are two funds available, Artsakh Investment Fund and Artsakh Support of Village and Agriculture Funds, or Gyuri Yev Gyuratentesakan Ajaktuchan Himnadram. These funds basically help subsidize farmers and different individuals or companies who want to start businesses in Artsakh. We'll talk about again some of them. For example, seeds and other farming materials are subsidized by 20 to 50%. Farming equipment by 30%. So basically, and they get the farmland ready. In one of the slides, we'll see Araksavan, which is basically a location by Araks River, where you can actually have 20, 40, 60 hectares of land that based on a business plan, they will give you this property to basically farm it. And the water is there, they buy from the Araks River, and then you can take advantage of the subsidies for purchasing the machinery, for purchasing the seed, subsidizing the loan debt if you need to take a loan from the bank. So they work with you, and we will have some of these specific projects to look at. Of course, Artsakh Investment Fund also helps with getting the building for different investments, whether it's watchmaking, jewelry, textile. They're all available. This is so there's no foreign tax for investors on income. There's 10 years protection against changes in taxation policy. No issues with taking the money out of the country, and no tax on importing equipment into the country to work on the different. So we talk about market access and the location of Armenia. Sometimes we think about Armenia landlocked and so forth, but we're actually a very good location. We have free trade agreements with Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyz republics, 235 million people. Now when you figure we have 160,000 people in Artsakh and about 3 million people in Armenia, and you have a market of 235 million, then you can actually go produce things in Armenia and Artsakh, and we know when it comes to trade, Armenians have always managed trade in those parts of the world, and we can easily do the same and take advantage. There are different trade agreements with Europe. There are 6,400 products exported with zero reduced custom duties. Social trade agreements, special trade agreements with USA, Canada, Switzerland, Japan, and Norway, and we have World Trade membership since 2003 with most favored nation status. So the same things apply to Artsakh, because most of the products that you get out of Artsakh, basically they come out as Armenia product, even though I'm glad to say that recently European countries are actually accepting products from Artsakh with made in Artsakh, and Artsakh is able to get UPC codes, and just basically their products are sold in Europe as products produced in Artsakh. And we all know that Turkey and Azerbaijan are trying to do everything in their power to work against that, but I think at the end of the day, you know, government of Artsakh, thanks to their leadership, is proving that they're worthy of recognition, and they're getting more and more successes. So some indicators about Armenia, about a little less than 3 million. Later on, we'll also have a slide about the source of information, where we got the information from. So gross domestic product, 10.43 billion. There was a 3.5% growth based on World Bank. So, and then, you know, for inflation is about 3%, poverty about 32%, life expectancy 75 years, unemployment 16 for males, 15, and for females 17.5. Again, these numbers are from, you know, the numbers that we've got from the World Bank website. Foreign investments, open door policy for investors in any sectors. Basically, the main target is to bring few large organizations to Armenia and Artsakh each year. Top investors are from Russia, Europe, France, Germany, and Greece, Argentina, US, and Lebanon. Ease of doing business, Armenia in 2013 was ranked 32 out of 185. So it's actually a very good ranking. Significant process toward, it could always be better, of course, and significant progress achieved in protecting investors, taxes, and utility. I put a page here about Made in Armenia Expo. I was in Armenia about a week and a half ago, and one of the nice things about Armenia is, there's always conferences there. In a matter of 1 week, there were 3 conferences: Invest Armenia, Made in Armenia, and of course the Global Trade Network. And what I liked about the Made in Armenia, that there were 270 companies. Now, if you take the fact that not every company is, coming to the expo and showcasing their product, that's a lot of product that, you could go and see. And if you're a company that is importing from different countries, you can look into opportunities to import from Armenia. So there were basically companies there from food processing, production of juice, refreshing drinks, natural and mineral water, winemaking. As you know, winemaking, Armenia and Artsakh are basically winning more and more competitions in worldwide contests. Tobacco, light industry, wood processing, household chemistry, pharmaceutical, diamond cutting. So you can see there's a wide range of industries, from jewelry production to mining. But if anybody would like to have a copy of this PowerPoint, I would gladly email you a copy if you leave the email address with Mr. Panosyan or me. I'm going to start talking about some of the segments. The first segment I want to talk about is IT and telecom. So back when sometimes we take for granted how much changes in Armenia and Artsakh from year to year. I mean, I remember when I first started my IT office, I was software development office in Yerevan. We didn't have internet. We only had for so many hours. The download, upload was so slow. You could not connect to internet. Now we just take it for granted that anywhere in Yerevan you have fast internet, as fast as US, if not better. So things are changing. We used to look for programmers in Yerevan. Now you have a pool of talent. You still have a shortage, which is kind of good and bad. It's very bad that you have a shortage, but it's good because you have the shortage because so many companies are going to Yerevan and opening offices in Yerevan. So that's good because the skill set is good. The folks that graduate, thanks to Amalia and others, have the needed expertise to get hired, so that attracts more companies. So you're always catching up and need to train more students, employees, so you can work on different projects. Right now Armenia is the leading IT nation in the CIS and Middle East neighbors, and that's a lot given our size, given our population. And when we talk about Armenians, you know, intellect, they just be able to establish themselves as the IT nation. There's good trade agreements in place, and there's all kind of opportunities available, from developing fiber for homes, establishing virtual network operators for cellular phones or other services. So Armenia is becoming a regional hub, and you hear from Korea and other countries, folks going there, and we're talking about IT parks. We have them in Yerevan, we have them in Gyumri. Amalia will talk about Vanadzor. We have it in Stepanakert now. So more and more you'll see IT getting out of Yerevan into other regions, which I think is very, very important, because if you can just take that success that you have in Gyumri, the one that we're working on in Stepanakert, with companies going there with the 4-year computer science degree and Tumor Center going there, and you duplicate that in other places like Gapan or Goris, you'll have a great opportunity for the country. So it's the fastest growing industry in Armenia. There are two sectors, the software development and telecommunication. Here I have some of the companies that basically Synopsys has hundreds of employees, and again, Synopsys is a multi-billion-dollar company that's invested a lot in Armenia. They develop R&D, the software, the R&D support divisions are for the electronic design automation department in Armenia. So again, some of the other companies, WebISA, D-Link, 60 employees, and they just announced that they'll be expanding their operation. Orange, Armenia, and others. In Artsakh, I'm glad to report that working with scholars for scientific education and cultural development, Mr. Shiryan Razmik is here, Dr. Shiryan, you can talk about it in more detail, and Armenian Education Foundation, we were able to start a 4-year computer science degree program in Stepanakert University. This is the 3rd year. Next year we'll have students graduating from the computer science degree program. Amalia is also helping us with doing some evaluation of students. I've been there, I've talked to the university students. When we first started the degree program in Stepanakert, basically only students that couldn't get into engineering school or some of the other schools would come to the computer science degree department. But now, this year, now you're having students stand in line to come join, and we'll be basically conducting sessions to motivate them about the opportunity, educate them about the opportunities. Already companies are starting opening up offices in Stepanakert, and I think it's just natural that in coming years we'll have IT operation, and we have of course we have an IT park in Stepanakert being built, so that's just going to be a matter of time. I'm going to have Amalia, ask Amalia to come up and share some information about GTech solutions, and I'll continue.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Armenia-AlecBaghdassaryan. I came from Gyumri, and I'm representing Gyumri Information Technology Center. And actually, if I speak without this, is it okay? So I'm representing Gyumri Information Technology Center and GTech Solutions. Just a little story how it was founded, then I will talk about the services. In 2005, when one of our donors, Patrick Sarkisian, came to Gyumri and saw how is the situation, like people just waiting for money arriving from the US or Russia so they can live and they can buy bread, he stopped back and said that the only solution to the issue is to invest in human brain and to build information technology field in Gyumri. So he came back with this idea. He came to Fund for Armenian Relief and said that donors, instead of sending money to Gyumri, they need to invest in education and open information technology center in Gyumri, where people, young people, after graduating universities cannot find work. They can get extra education in programming, and instead of leaving Armenia for US or Yerevan, they can just encourage businesses to send projects to Gyumri and to open branches right in Gyumri and hiring the young people. So as Alec mentioned, that time this was a big desire, and no internet connection, people did not understand what is IT, what is technology, but only the belief of donors supported the project. After 10 years, we are already 10-year old, we have 300 graduates, everyone working in Armenia. We have the program of Gyumri Technopark that government initiated thanks to GITC project, thanks to Armenian American donors. And we are conducting IT education in all Armenia, and thanks to Armenian Educational Foundation support in Artsakh and in the regions of Armenia that are border near and they even do not have good, again, internet connection or computer skills. So this project was ambitious, but only the belief to build the project, to develop the project in Gyumri, this was successful. And now all these young people working in Gyumri, they are not even thinking about migration or about leaving Armenia. Instead, we have many, many successful business relationships built with New York, Boston, with Germany, and with other countries who outsource their projects to Gyumri for their teams working there. So GTech solution is the baby of this educational foundation, because we don't want all time wait for donors to send money for the academic processes. The board of GITC decided to establish its business unit, its commercial unit, that is called GTech Solutions, where our graduates work on commercial projects, on web projects, and where they get salary, and the profit goes to cover academic expenses of GITC. Thus, little by little becoming sustainable and offering the education in other regions. So the main projects that we offer to customers is website design, custom logo design, and other design related projects that also includes development like web development, software, iOS, Android, e-commerce, and offshore development. The GITC Academic Foundation is preparing specialists and employees, is educating specialists for the GTech solutions, for the business part of the company, and the curriculum is very flexible. We have experts in the US working on the curriculum, and we also hire teachers, not academic, but working in such IT companies as IIG, Synopsys, Synergy, or other IT companies in Yerevan. So for 5 years, we have been making good relationship with US. We have customers, successful customers from New York, and basically we do mobile and web development for our customers. And the strong side is that we do not just take them as clients or customers, but we try to build a long-term partnership, like not only doing the task, but doing a step forward to have somehow creative approach to it and to connect them to Armenia, actually. So they will love working with Armenia, and instead of working with India, they have the blood call brings them back to Armenia working with our teams. So here are our best partners. For Maxole is shoes production company. By the way, I told Alec they are also with the mission to extend export their product, their shoes made in Armenia to US. So we will see how to help. And also our biggest partner is UNICEF Armenia. We are building e-learning platform for UNICEF Armenia. And little by little, the number of projects increasing GTech. The main goal of my visit to LA is the same. Again, encourage people, Armenian businesses and software companies try to work with our company. The goal is financial, but putting aside this, keeping young people right in Gyumri. Thank you. Questions, if you have any. Any questions for now? Okay.
What's the hourly rate?
We have hourly rate range, like for different services different. For example, for mobile development, it starts from 5 USD, goes to 10, 11. For web development, it's like starts from 4 USD, going again to 10, 11. And for search engine optimization, we do monthly. For example, one of the companies in New York, Tufayan Bakery, we charge monthly 700 USD. But if you search in Google the keywords, it will come, Tufayan Bakery comes like second place in Google. So it's different, but we have a strict documented strategy for both pricing and reporting.
I have a question. Yes. Can you borrow money from an Armenian bank, and what is the interest rate?
Interest rate is very high. That's why we cannot borrow money from Armenian banks, and like 24%, annual percent, which is hard. Risk is high.
Why is it so?
I cannot answer this question.
Because the currency.
Yeah, I can. Mortgage, hypothekային վարկն էլ շատ բարձր է։ Այսինքն, երբ որ բնակարան ես ուզում ձեռք բերես, ես ինքս ձեռք եմ բերել, տարին 17% է, որը հազիվ ես կարողանում ջարես։
Question. Yes, we're very happy that you're coming out to get people to go in the technology field to go over there. One of my problems is when President Kocharyan was president, he came to New York and he talked with 200 businessmen over here to come back over to Armenia and open up businesses, and they all were afraid to come and open up those businesses because of the corruption within the government. Has that been changed over the past numerous years, ever since Kocharyan left? Is it safe for people to go over there and open up a business so they won't be having to pay under the table the chip of the actions of part of their business?
I think usually Amalia, the IT-related question.
Yeah, just I can say that young generation is changing, fortunately, and the Soviet Union ideas and mentality is also changing. So old people being in the corruption have to put aside and give away to young people who are eager to work, to encourage businesses, and to be more open-minded. This change we see in Armenia.
We'll have more time. We'll have more time at the end. So let's continue the lecture first, and then we'll have more time for the questions.
Okay, thank you.
So continuing, one of the industries I want to talk about is agriculture. So agriculture right now accounts for 25% of Armenia's GDP and 9.8% of the exports. And basically, Armenia aims to develop the subsectors of brandy, wine, fish, fruits and vegetables, and they're looking for foreign direct investments. And they've actually developed a free economic zone in Zvartnots airport to handle some of the trading, and agricultural products are exempt from the VAT. And the idea there is to develop enough so you can both take care of the domestic consumption and export to Russia and other CIS countries. So we talked about some of the subsectors. We go a bit faster, it's 8:30, so we've got a few pages to go. So investment ideas, so I put some investment ideas down here. So for example, raw material from Armenia and Artsakh or Iran, you can bring them in, repackage them and export them to Russia. Bring products from Europe and process and sell them in Russia. For example, you can import olives, manufacture olive oil, and do that from Italy and Germany and process and sell them in Russia. Russia's market is very big. We have access to Russian market from Armenia, and basically any product that goes through a repackaging, then you can take it from Armenia, and whether it's pork that you're importing and repackaging, get into different configuration of the meat products and send it to Russia, or tomato juice or olive juice. Those are all things that could be done. So due to existing agreements, when entering Eurasian Union, Armenia has received a 5-year special tax incentive. So for 5 years. There's even additional incentives available. So I put an example here. It's like for a $50,000 to $100,000 investment, and pomegranate or an olive orchard could be purchased, a detailed plan would be developed, and profit is about 20 to 30%, and the product would be sold in Russia. So this, given some of the recent, just the questions that were asked, so what I want to point out here is that, first of all, anything that I present here, you know, before it, we'll talk about in coming pages, before anybody invests $1, you want to make sure that you develop this detailed business plan. We'll talk about the items of the business plan, and then you want to work with organizations that, you know, would support you, would back you up. As I mentioned, both Armenians and Artsakh government, they're very committed to working with investors, and if you take the right steps, if you have to working with the right organizations, you know, a lot of this, you know, opportunities are real. As I said, European and American organizations are doing it, and it is time that Armenians take a more active role, you know, and look into opportunities, you know, and if it makes sense, take the next step. So investment opportunities. I have some other investments for foreign direct investments. For example, in Diasporan region, grow carnation, tomatoes, cucumbers, from Ministry of Economy for caviar production. At a $5 million investment from U.S. In Artsakh, they've actually started a caviar production. Caviar production will come to that page. This is in Armenia. And some of the success stories, for example, Pernod Ricard, I guess from France, world leader in wine and spirits, been there since 1999. Spica from Russia, transportation agriculture. Their brands are under Arat Food and Arat Food brands, and they do warehousing and cool units. From Italy since 2009, we have Litocol AM from Italy, and then they basically, this is not food related, again, but adhesives that are used as primers and so forth. One of the nice things about Artsakh is that in Artsakh, a lot of the loans to farmers are subsidized by the bank knowing that the interest rates are high. The Artsakh government is subsidizing some of the loans to the farmers, and investors who invest in Artsakh would have a better, you know, successful businesses. One of the projects that I really like to mention, and as we'll talk about in the coming pages, there are different type of investments for different individuals, from large U.S. organization to someone who wants to invest and actually run the company, to someone that wants to get into a partnership with others. But this is a nice one because Artsakh government has this program that an individual can buy it's almost like a bond, and I have a copy of the contract with me if someone is interested, a $5,000 investment, a loan given to a farmer with an 8% return. The borrower shall pay the 8% interest quarterly with the sum at the end of the 5 years, and the government of Artsakh guarantees the funds. So if there's any issues with the farmer paying back the money, government of Artsakh will pay that. So this is a great investment in that if someone just has some money and instead of getting 1-2% wants to invest, it wants to help a farmer in Artsakh, it's a guaranteed program that would basically bring that individual an 8% return on their money.
Are you sure it's 8% per quarter?
The quarterly 8% interest. So the 8% is annually, but the interest is paid quarterly.
So it's annual 8%?
Yeah, 8% annually. Interest is paid quarterly. Thank you for the clarification. So, one of the other projects I want to talk about is that, yes, caviar production, and I wanted to point out that there was, this was the page that I was mentioning, that actually Artsakh products are being actually sold in Europe as produced as Artsakh with UPC codes from Artsakh. So that's wonderful, I think. But they look at the caviar production. Actually, Aspires, I think, had an article about this too, that the caviar production in Artsakh is on its way, and I hope in the coming year they'll see the, and there's other programs for fruit and vegetables, 1.5 million euro invested Artsakh Bio to export to Russia and Europe, Germany and Italy. There are different so cattle and sheep production in Artsakh is there's about 80,000 head of cattle. I guess I was talking to the Minister of Agriculture last night. One of the biggest challenges they have is the byproducts for cattle and sheep, to have factories to process the meat, the milk, the latter for it to be used and be processed and treated. So apparently there's only one company called Elite Group that does that, and most other companies don't go up on. So he thought this would be a very good opportunity if someone wants to get into the industry. Poultry and fish, similar in that available opportunities, but unlike the cattle and sheep, that they have enough, I think, in poultry and egg, if for an investment of $45,000, saying they could actually serve them the market in Armenia and Artsakh and export some. Same thing with fish breeding. So when I talk with the folks, there are detailed plans that could be provided if anybody is interested in to get into any one of these industries. I have a page here that for the Artsakh Village and Agriculture Fund basically provides services. So if you want to start a winery and plant olive trees, then they provide some of the services for doing some of the work for you at set dollars per hectare. So you can actually use their services to help get your products taken care of. This is a very good project, Artsakh. This is what I was talking about. So one of the things they're doing in Artsakh, they're actually treating the land. Some of the lands hasn't been farmed for years. The soil needs to be worked on. So Artsakh government is doing that. They're treating the land to be ready for farming. They give the land away at no cost. For example, I was talking to them, and that corn could be at 150,000 dirham per hectare. It costs to plant it and basically selling to an amount of 300,000 dirham, a 50 to 70% return on investment. The same thing with vegetable and watermelons that they were talking about, success stories and businesses that are operating. So a lot of this, now some of this would be great opportunity for someone who wants to go there and run. But if a group of Armenians came together and put a pool fund together with some folks in the ground running this operation, I think these projects are a lot more feasible, a lot more doable. We just need to form those groups to work on some such projects. I was surprised when I was getting ready for this presentation and when I was presenting as part of the Global Trade Network that there really isn't an organization in Southern California that has a listing of all Armenians that are doing business in Armenia or are interested in investing in Armenia. So, and I'm talking about Southern California, not even nationwide. And I think that's something that could be worked on. If such a list existed, then one can approach them to, from their forming groups that can actually take on projects at different forms and have a substantial impact on many of these projects. So alternative energy, basically in Armenia, there are many projects available. Now, some of these projects are much larger projects, but 25% demand today is covered by renewable alternative energy. The goal is to get it to be 30%. The hydropower and wind resources are estimated to be the most effective and attractive energy. Several investment proposals are available to Armenian Development Agency. So if anybody is interested, opportunities in hydropower, wind power, solar energy, geothermal power, biomass energy, and I basically, for the lack of time and myself not being an expert in some of these industries, I did not put information from this business plans in this PowerPoint. I would have just been reading big words in a PowerPoint without knowing a whole lot about it. But they are business plans, and they are companies that are investing, and for someone who has expertise in the industry can actually look into that and basically look into business plan, do their due diligence, and decide if it makes sense take the next step. So Artsakh, HEC is the electrical energy production in Artsakh. One of the nice things I like about this, and the reason I put it in here was that there's additional funding. There are 3 rounds of common stock issuances. There are stockholders that are making the decision. So whether it's an Artsakh, it's a company, a publicly traded company, people are buying shares, that people are taking their interest, they're selling the stock. So things of this sort are available that could be done. Tourism, is the sector is one of the ancient countries, Armenia, it was culture and land. 10 of our sites are in UNESCO's World Heritage List. 10% of the country is protected land forest, so it's beautiful, as it's, And I always say, when you look at Huffington Post or ABC7 or New York Times, you always see Armenia listed as one of the top 10 beautiful places, as one of the vacation destinations. And then you talk to so many Armenians that have not been to Armenia and Artsakh, and it makes you wonder as to why we would not be there. I strongly believe that tourism is one of the industries that Armenian government isn't doing enough. And they're kind of hoping that the people and diaspora by themselves would go to. We used to have Los Angeles Travel and Tourism Expo that we will have a booth with, in the past years, and we represent Armenia and Artsakh, and the reception was unbelievable. A lot of people would stop by. But the new council general, we haven't been able to kind of come together and do the same. And I feel really bad that that's an opportunity that we lost. A lot of people were taking it for. And there are a lot of Armenians, obviously they have relatives or they're from it, they have relatives that go, but there's a lot that would just come and take information about it. I'm assuming it'd be the same thing with other states, of US states and so forth, that Armenians don't know a whole lot about, Artsakh or Armenia, different lands to go and visit. So we have it. Historical, you have churches, you have spa, medical tourism, agritourism, wineries are becoming so popular in Armenia and Artsakh. You can go have a great time skiing in Baghdassaryan and Sevan. It contributes about 2% of the 2.1% of the economy, 62% of Armenia being in diaspora, that can have a lot bigger impact. So there are a lot of opportunities for privatization. There's a lot of there are a lot of old buildings from the Soviet era, hotels that could be developed, especially in the smaller cities. Promising niche, the spa resort, agritourism, ecotourism. Whether you like biking or hiking, when you go to Sunik and some of those regions, Aloe Verde, you can spend days and days hiking in those the lakes and rivers. So success stories, the Goris Hotel, the Armenia Marriott, the Best Western and Ortophenga here, these are good success stories that people have established hotels and are being very successful. Of course, we have our hotel too, but I put that in there. The textile is one of the oldest branches of Armenian economy for years. Armenian companies working with European Armenian partners can export to CIS countries. We specialize in cut, make, and one of the 11 strategic sectors identified. So business opportunities, the textile and clothing, carpet, and the leathers and shoes that are identified with, for investment. There's transit and logistics is also available. So there are a lot of activities going on in that whole part of the world with the north-south road corridor that is going to connect Asia to Europe, and it's actually going to go to Georgia and Azerbaijan, but the part of it, there's a road that is going to come down through Armenia to Iran to connect the Persian Gulf to Georgia. So as part of it, there's also going to be I wrote this down so I can actually read it. So the north-south railway corridor is anticipated to be a 316-kilometer long electric single-track railway which will connect Gavar near Sevan. As you know, Gavar is the Gevarkunik's capital, which is the state that Lake Sevan is in, to the southern border of Armenia by Mevri. And from there, from Gavar, it would join the Republic of Armenia's railway, so it would give them access to Yerevan. In parallel, the Southern-Armenia high-speed road to construct in Armenia's southern province of Sunik is anticipated to be 110 kilometers long expressway connecting the town of Sisyan to the border city of Merli. So, as you know, the border, the custom office is actually in Sisyan for goods received from there. So this would actually let you easily bring the products to Sisyan, and from Sisyan to Yerevan, the roads are better. Actually, they're building the road that's out of Yerevan. So this is one of the sectors that, you know, when you read about the available opportunities, these are for larger, companies. They're talking about Yerevan-Tbilisi Railroad or Hrazdan-Ijevan Railroad. So these are not, small investments, but they're available. Or they're talking about development of 2 international logistics centers in Yerevan and Gyumri next to airports, construction of international logistics center, Akhuran railway station, development of logistics centers for Armenian businesses. So these are all available business opportunities to invest in. So here are some of the available resources, Union of Manufacturers. These are different organizations that are in Armenia, and of course the Global Trade Network is one of them, but there's Gyumri Information Technology Center I have here if you want to do IT-related projects that one can use to gain access to information about doing business in Armenia. And the material that I'm presenting here are from Chamber of Commerce of the Republic of Armenia, East West Organization, Artsakh Investment Fund, and support. So I've been working with them, of course, getting some information from their website. So basically, for whatever it's worth, I think there's a lot of opportunities for Armenians to take part and invest in Armenia. So I would, if someone wanted to invest in any one of these opportunities, some are, they do not require major investment. A food packing company or a jam company or an olive oil company, some of this could easily be, get up and running with rather smaller investments. But the trick there is, so you not have situations where people have negative experiences they talk about, is to consult individuals, gain expertise in the desired industry, whether it's winery, ecotourism. Look into the investment level. Are you going to be involved full-time, part-time, or you want to be a silent partner? Start working on a business plan, define the project scope, identify the industry and the project to get involved. It's very important, especially in a place like Armenia, to have hired a trusted advisor. There are organizations like KPMG, Ameria Group, Grant Thornton, that they have advisors at all levels of government, that if you get working with them, their legal team will take care of any opportunities for you to make sure that you're getting the best result, that you're not having any challenges. But before they steer you in a direction, they will do the research and tell you whether or not that is the right industry to get involved. So that's what you want to do. Just like anything else, research, visit, talk to owners of similar companies, look for success stories, identify the needed resources, funds, availability of skills in Armenia. There's skill sets in Armenia to take on that project, the machinery is available or not, create the timeline, list of actions, become familiar with the tax laws. Again, we talked about invested. Trust and verify. Long distance management has its challenges, so you need to make sure you build a team and establish the controls in place. And the most important, if you take your steps correctly, then you can go to the different available agencies and work with them. Oftentimes you talk to people and they've taken shortcuts with paying taxes or doing some of the work. Then when a situation does come up, they do not have access to that protection of law to work on their issues. And I've dealt with this all the time. When you want to start a company in Armenia or you want to do something, they will tell you, okay, buy the machinery, pay cash for it, you won't pay the taxes or this and that, and then you say, well, what am I going to do when they come to audit me? Or, well, you pay bribe then, and so well, next year someone else is going to come. Well, you pay them bribe too, and they say, well, what are we doing here? So I think it's important to do everything right, to make sure that we're there to help. Again, both governments are very eager to help with projects, with programs, investors, organizations are established to work for different level of investments. Many foreign companies have done it and have succeeded. 12 investments by Diasporan. We need to build a support organization. I think this is one of the things I've basically experienced throughout the years. I've tried to encourage more people to work. I think some of us have a limited availability of time, but perhaps funds. So if there were organizations formed to work to have a person working on the ground and a group here managing, we may be able to address some of the issues. Challenging in getting diaspora engaged with Armenia, negative experiences, perceived corruption, negative outlook on rule of law, corruption. Goal should be to address these issues by placing checks and balances in place by perhaps this group, availability of easy to participate investment option for various levels of investments, facilitate different methods of investment levels, individuals who want to operate their own machine, organizations, individuals who will be willing to invest but want partners, so they have limited investment, and organizations like that bond issue with Artsakh that just will have some money and they want to help the farmers and invest in those opportunities. So the organization would have to do some matchmaking, you know. So right now, as I said, there seems to be a lack of information on and about what could be done in Armenia, and then there's the trust issue. So some of this, so I think if a group had some community leaders, trusted individuals that took part, respected business person, experts in different industries from agriculture to IT, to public relations, then you can actually be successful. And so this organization will overview, address any issues raised, and also help identify investment opportunity, market segments, industry, help with business plans, perhaps even join investments, take a partnership, ownership in those investments. Of course, then you'll have to have regular meetings to stay focused on projects, have someone there on the ground in Yerevan, a shared manager, shared office, things of that sort. And I think, as I've said earlier, one of the biggest challenges we have is lack of coordination, whether it's consulate or embassy or ANC or Armenian Fund or others. I think it's important that we have all the organizations come together to make sure that we work on the challenges of building that trust. Not only building the trust, we work on the challenges of making sure that the business plans are done properly so the investments are successful, so we're laying the groundwork for additional investments by the 7-10 million diaspora Armenians to become larger and larger, and so we can take an active role, get engaged with Armenia, and both help the people live in Armenia and our community. And of course ourselves, that was the theme of this, that if we do this right, there's many opportunities in Armenia and Artsakh to actually be successful and make money. It is just the saying goes that you're as strong as your weakest link. So we want to make sure that when you put a business plan together and you put all the pieces, that we work on it and we make sure that every piece is looked at in detail, is analyzed, and we taking care of it, whether it be corruption, whether it be gathering the funds, whether it's managing the project, and on to make sure that it's successful. With that said, that's about all I had. I went through a lot of it quickly just to make sure that we finish. So if you have any question, I can have
Well, this is a challenge. Alex puts his money where his mouth is. Everybody talks about how bad business in Armenia is. Here's a man who says there are a lot of opportunities, but you have to do it right. So, any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alex, you mentioned that we should check the business plans. And who does that? I mean, do you help with that, or?
So that's a very good question. So there's few things to do. One is, I think every investment every investor at the end of the day, whether you're investing in Utah or Armenia, you want to do your due diligence. I think organizations like whether it's Global Trade Network or Armenian Development Agency, they can present a business plan. But I think, again, this goes back to the level of involvement. So if a person says, I want to have my own company, I want to operate my own company, then you need to do that due diligence. At the end of the day, as I mentioned in one of the slides here, I think you need to consult individuals, gain the expertise in desired industry, decide if you want to be a full-time investor, part-time investor, work on the business plan, hire a trusted advisor, whether it's a Marriott Group or KPMG that has industry in winemaking or whatever, then take it from there. But I think some of these challenges can be, so it's like onion, it's like, some people are going to be the ones that are going to say, you know what, I have the time, I will go there and I will run it. That's wonderful, but that probably is a smaller percent of the Armenians. So once you go to the next level, well, I may have sometimes, I may go there 3 times, 4 times. So the idea is, what type of organizations are we building so some of those other people can come together and maybe have a group of 7, 8, 10 people that maybe they have a skin in the deal too, they own 10%, maybe they put the money in, and people come together and each 6 months one of them goes and visits, come back, reports to others, and do things. I think there are challenges, but the rewards are great. The biggest reward is helping the country. Of course, what's the sense of a win-win? You need to help the country, but you need to also make some money. And when you look at some of the numbers, I mean, where else in the world they will give you 60-hectare land, and they'll say, this is your land, and the Araks get, they just take the water from there and irrigate it, and it's all yours.
What is the conditions for that land? Do you have to go live there, or do you have to be a citizen?
So it's a very good question. The last time I was at Artsakh, it's one of those cities that I went to. It's called Artsakh. And what they've done, they built a small village, and they've actually built small houses. It's actually, they're not actually built houses. They're like mobile houses. They brought people from different villages to help those farmers that are getting those lands work on their farms. So you as a person, you need to have a business plan. What are you going to, is it wine? Is it pomegranate? Is it, olives? There are a lot of olive orchards going on. There are a lot of pomegranates. There's people from France, from Italy, they're all planting pomegranate trees and all of that, from olive trees and so. So the land is there. What you do with it, and of course you need to, as I said, look into your commitment of time. How many times a year do I want to go there? Listen, I'm at an age that I don't mind, I'll go there and I'll take 60 hectares, 20 hectares. But you need to realize there's going to have its issues. And now whether you hire a person there and work with that person to do what's needed. And just like anything else, I talked to so many people over the years that say, you know what, I went and bought a land in such and such village, then they wouldn't give me water. I said, well, before you bought the land, did you ask them what the water rights were? Not really, but I thought you will have water. I said, well, you know what? It doesn't work like that. You want to buy a land in a city, go buy a land inside Zakhkaz or inside Yerevan, you'll have water, you have electricity. You go buy it on top of the hill, you need to do due diligence. Is it going to have water? Is it going to have electricity? You may have to bring the water and electricity. So that's what I'm saying, you need to do your due diligence. But the opportunities are there for us, for the person who wants to do that due diligence. Yes, please.
President.
Okay, from the sound of this, it looks like the ABA, or the Global Trading Organization that you belong to. I don't know if these people have done a fair job in terms of presenting what you are presenting tonight, in terms of educating the people overseas, skewed, to know about the conditions of Armenia, how to get started, how to encourage people to invest in Armenia. Is this basically a kickoff? Is this something that you're going to be doing in Utah, you said, in Chicago, in Houston, Texas, in New York? I guess what I'm trying to say is you got to get the word out somehow. Is this a kickoff?
So what is this? This is an invitation by Dr. Panosyan for me to come and talk here. No, but seriously, what is it? Some of what I'm talking about are not new. And I've always said, unfortunately, the PR done by our country is not all that good. There's a lot of perceived, negativism in the media and everywhere about, okay, you show up in Armenia, everybody's going to steal everything you have, and send you back empty, you know, with your wallet empty. So everybody's like, I'm not even gonna go. Are you out of your mind? You would go there, you know. So there are a lot of challenges. But you know, the question becomes when we started IT. You know, when I started our hotel, you know, Mary's part of our partners, Mary Kind. When we started our hotel, the hotel in Shushi was the tallest hotel in Warabag. Now you go there, you love it. There's so many new hotels and all of that. Tourism, they still have challenges. They don't see the value of a Tigranakert they have. They don't see the value of a Baghdassar they have. They don't see the value of Zontigners. But you know, you're talking about a country with 160,000 people, limited resources, 20 years after the war, you know, and they're doing all they can. I mean, some of these projects, when you look at it, these are really good projects. A lot of thought has gone into these projects. Now, as I was saying, you're as strong as your weakest link. Their weakest link probably is their PR. To get the word out, to do this thing right, and the same thing with Armenia. I mean, you know, for some of us, you would go to Shushi, there was no water. You would go to Yerevan 10, 15 years ago. You had water so many hours, you know, you would, and even the systems. I mean, even when you would drive by, police would stop you and get them. You don't have that anymore, you know, and we have so many wonderful things going on. You used to want to leave airport, you had to give 1,000 dirham to this, buy 2,000 dirham, that, all of that has gone by. They treat you nicely. Everybody would put, you know, so a lot is changing. And when you compare that we're a 20-some-year-old country, and when you compare the 10 years and you go 5 years ago, 15 years ago, it's wonderful. And I'm sure it's going to continue to be the same way. The challenge you have is not only that you're on the right track, or you want to be on the right track, but it's how fast you're moving forward. And I'm sure.
Yes, you were next.
I think you're the next.
So, in your deck, one of the slides, you talked about virtual mobile operator. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, to answer your question is, if I did, I would just be recalling from, but I'll send you the document that I have on it, which has few pages. But they're looking for operators that they have numbers that they can give out. The numbers are available for someone to come to take the number to start operating those things. In Armenia, so if you want to have numbers, and from what I gathered, you can actually have certain numbers that even would work in US, in other countries and so forth. There's actually a lot of, you know, opportunities there, and I do know some folks that are there. But if you give me your call, I'll send you the information I have, and I introduce you to the people that I know that they will do that.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to ask a question to Amalia.
Yeah, you can.
If
Sure.
I may.
Sure.
So, I'm from France, and we have 120 engineers developing for mobile operators, apps and stuff. It's high tech, very high tech. So I was wondering if we decide to come to Armenia or Gyumri, for example, can you tell us university levels, if there's any high tech universities that prepare high-tech engineers, developers?
State engineering universities, both in Yerevan, in Gyumri, having branches also in Goris, as well as Yerevan State University having the faculty of radio electronics and other technical related branches. All these faculties, they prepare like specialists for the market, and also GITC Foundation, the students come from the universities. Like they need to have this degree, this basic knowledge, basic skills in engineering, so as to be able to learn telecommunication, programming, and other narrow professional specialists in Synopsys or other companies. So yeah, the education system is also over years is improving, and the high attention is put on the engineering and on technical education. Yeah.
But if I may
So just
interject,
add my 2 cents to go.
I was going to say that according to what I've heard from my friends who have businesses there, new graduates always need training. So even if they have the basic skills, you still have to train them to what you need.
Of
course.
Yes. So unlike your other question, I can give you my 2 cents. I have a software development office in Yerevan with 30 programmers since '98, whatever. And in Dr. Panasyan is correct. You need to train them, but a lot of the young kids that come out, if it's PHP programming, C, Java, they just do these things at night.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know, I have developers here in US. If I want them to pass a test, they will ask me to send them to a class. I cannot send them to an evening class. They don't want to do online training. They want to go to a class for a week. My programmers in Armenia learned, I don't know how they learned it, when they learned it. They downloaded it, and next thing I know, okay, you want to work on, so this software will work offline, online. Okay, I looked at this, I went in. So the kids are very sharp. I don't know if we owe it to Tumo Center and others, but the kids that, and we've been hiring kids from Polytechnic University for years and years. Polytechnic University is very good, and you know, but I think you'll be okay. You obviously need to have the office manager and so forth and so on, but there are techno parks that could help with the setup of the office and on.
Yeah, and the techno parks offer all the infrastructure with internet connection and technical resources.
Rosman. Yeah.
Following up on Rosmi's question, is the consulate involved with this?
Consulate, unfortunately, you know, so I've had, you know, even, you know, news interviews in Armenia and so forth, that unfortunately, you know, when you talk to Diasporan Ministerial or consulate, given how many Armenians live in Southern California, our consulate isn't as engaged in whether it's cultural, whether it's economic. You know, their job for the most part, I'm going to get myself in trouble saying all these things, is just get a visa, you know, get you know, proxy, you know, sign this, sign that, to the level. And then one of the things that is happening from time to time, for example, we had, you know, Grigor Vanessian, he was very, very involved. He would do things if you approached him. We had Hyde, we had Sevak, we had others that were a lot more involved, and they would do things. Unfortunately, that changes as the Consul General changes and all of that. But unfortunately, I don't think they are at the level that they could be, they should be, whatever the word is. Yes.
You mentioned in Artsakh someone wants to invest 1.2 million euros for caviar.
Sure.
A friend of mine has a fishery there in Armenia, sure. And they grow sturgeon, or
sure.
But he's telling me, and I've tried it, the caviar from those fishes, because at first they're small, and they're in the fresh water, it's not that good. I mean, I've tried it. In this big investment, are they trying to make the different kind of sturgeon with the salty water, or what's it? How come somebody investing that much in something that is not that testing that good?
So two things. I wish I was that smart to know about all these things. Second is, I'm assuming that person who invests $1.2 million has done his due diligence and has looked at what fish is bringing and what they're doing. I'm assuming if you're putting that money out there, you've done the
so you don't know about
whatever.
Details of it.
Sorry?
You don't know details of that?
No. I mean, I saw an article, I think it was Aspar, that the Prime Minister, Mr. Archunian, was opening the thing, and I've read it in one of the reports, but I'm assuming. But the thing that was interesting, that both in Artsakh and in Armenia they're doing it, so there must be something with the water, location, and so forth.
You mentioned about an organization to which you're a president, right? Okay. First of all, and listening to your presentation, is it possible to organize a committee here, especially from people who are here, an Armenia Diaspora Business Connection Group that will be the starting point in developing and pushing and doing whatever you were talking about. Your experience is very much needed, your contacts are very much needed, and there are many people here who have the potential and all the desire to form a body, to come up with a strategy or strategies, and to communicate on a regular basis, and to have and to start doing organizing various events through which there can be continuous business encouragement and everything. The consuls, unfortunately, but the present consul now, Magardumian, is more active type of person, and with whom we can cooperate. But you can be a good catalyst in bringing together a committee or a grouping to do a lot of work. So what do you think? What can be done? And a lot of people here can be part of it.
So I think events like this are important, and you're 100% right. Thanks for the kind word. I don't think I don't know that much, but the idea is that you need to bring people together that want to work with different expertise. I was mentioning people with agro, IT, you know, public relation, expo setup, you know, people that are from different respected individuals, community leaders from different community organizations. You need to bring them together, and I've been trying to do this. I have a few lists, and I've reached out to some people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of trust issues. You need to, when there's a lot of trust, and you also need to do a lot of work. Just, but there's going to be events. I mean, I was talking to our ambassador in Washington the last couple of weeks. There's going to be an event in end of September in Los Angeles for doing business in Artsakh and so forth. That actually he's going to be here, but Honorable Ambassador Baghdassaryan is going to be there, the President of Artsakh, and we're organizing for that. Maybe in conjunction with that, we can kind of have a group that comes together to work. So if anybody, so one of my notes for today, you know, is to see at some point if that makes sense, if there's enough interest for people, and then what you need to do is just basically say, okay, each person, what is your expertise? How many hours can you spend on working on this weekly? How many times can you go to Armenia? So you can start shaping that group and know what the expectation should be from each individual. And then once you have a solid group, then you go to, I think it's going to be a lot easier to find investors. The bigger problem is that not to take the people's money and waste it, and not to do the right thing. I think it's a lot more easy to find investors than to find these people that would come together to do the right job, and on and on and on. So I think that's our challenge, to make sure that we have enough support in the community of people that really pass the, I attended an event, I'm excited, I raised my hand, now I need to spend twice a week, attend meeting, take on responsibility, and do things. Right?
Yes.
So I was wondering, with the lives of so many Armenians being affected in the Middle East, in Syria and Lebanon, where 10,000 or more Armenians have left the country, have gone to Armenia, have any of these wealthy Armenians who had businesses in Syria and Iraq, have they set up or gone ahead and helped out on what your, all these
So I don't know
businesses?
about the specifics of, I think, Syrian Armenians and rich and so forth. But what I do know from Syrian Armenian, and the same thing happened with Iraqi Armenian. So one of the things that happens that's good and bad is that some of the Armenians that go from Syria to Armenia, then there are countries like Canada that basically accept them as refugee, and you really cannot blame some of those people. They look at the, okay, I can live in Artsakh, or I can live in a village in Armenia, I can live in Canada, Canadian government is going to give me money, education is going to be free. They look at it and they decide to go to Canada. It's good for them. The people, basically, they want to, after what they've gone through in Syria, lost what they had, to be able to get on their feet sooner. But it's bad that if they'd stayed in Armenia or Artsakh, they would have, like Armenians always land on their 4 feet, they would have landed, they would have, like a lot of Armenians came from Iran to the 70s and Lebanon in here, and we had to work, they worked, and they all became successful. It would have been the same thing there. But I don't know about the specifics of what happened to their money, where their money is, and so forth.
But that's a different subject anyway, so. Harold.
Yeah. What motivates a foreign company to invest money in Armenia when there are no provision for expatriating the earnings?
Absolutely, you can take the money out in Artsakh and Armenia.
It is free to take
Absolutely,
the money out.
but so far it's been very, first of all, no non-Armenian company is going to Armenia because they like Armenia or Armenians.
Yes.
They're only going there because there's talent there, there's opportunity there, there's profit there. And that's why all these companies from Italy and France and US and Korea are going there. There's good opportunities.
What you're
Microsoft.
describing
Microsoft.
capitalism in a communist country. I don't
Well, we're
understand.
not communist anymore.
No, communism has gone.
They are not.
Believe me, communism is gone from Armenia.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever.
Sarkis. Sarkis.
What kind of alternative energy technology Armenia has now?
You know, again, I'll gladly would send you my document, but this is what I basically, it says hydropower and wind sources are estimated to be the most attractive alternate energies. Several investment proposals are available to Armenian Development Agency. Opportunities, hydropower over 250 MV of capacity can be added. Lori Bird and show hydro, I mean, I'm reading these things now. I can send you the document that has this many pages.
That's better.
As I said, I'm not very smart. I just cut and paste these things.
Any other questions?
I have a brief question for Amalia.
Amalia, yes.
Amalia, can you tell us about your experiences, especially with with Armenian businessmen out in the eastern region of the U.S.? Tell us how receptive they've been to you and your business plans and projects,